I met Matthew and I wasn't like, oh, I never wanted to really fall in love again. I maybe wanted to like have sex with a guy and have him kill spiders in my basement. But like, no, I didn't, I had it once. I had it so good. If I wanted it, it felt greedy. And I don't know. And Matthew was he hadn't been through that, but he had been through something. And I don't know. It's like just having someone present with me who didn't feel bad for me. He didn't feel bad for me.
Right.
And he would come over early on in our relationship and I would have put Ralph to bed and I would read him. Oh my God, I have a book to send you. You know, the only book you need to be reading right now is Mary Oliver, Felicity.
What is that?
It's a book of her poems. And I would read poems out loud because it's about her losing her partner and growing old and loss and grief. And I would read these poems out loud to him and I would just bawl on the floor. And he would just sit there and just be with me.
So like when you talk about this, do you run groups? Do you talk to other people grieving? Do you provide guidance? What do you see your job as?
I mean, I don't know what my job is. I don't know if I'll still have a podcast because APM's doing layoffs right now, but
wouldn't the podcast Terrible Thanks for Asking is about what is that? What
that was I started that podcast. I didn't tell you the best part, Mark. Do you know about Aaron's obituary?
No.
Google Aaron Permort obituary. Purmort.
Aaron Joseph Permort obituary in the Star Tribune. Permort, Aaron Joseph, age 35, died peacefully at home on November 25th after complications from a radioactive spider bite that led to years of crime fighting and years-long battle with nefarious criminal named Cancer. So sad. Who has plagued our society for far too long. Civilians will recognize him best as Spider-Man and thank him for his many years of service protecting our city. His family knew him only as a kind and mild-mannered art director, designer of websites and T-shirts and concert posters who always had the right cardigan and the right thing to say, even if it was wildly inappropriate. Aaron was known for his long, entertaining stories, which he loved to repeat often. In high school, he was in the band The Asparagus Children, which reached critical acclaim in the northern suburbs. As an adult, he graduated from the College of Visual Arts, which also died an untimely death recently, and worked in several agencies around Minneapolis, settling in as an interactive associate creative director at Colley and McVoy. Cole McVoy. Aaron was a comic book aficionado, a pop culture encyclopedia, and always the most fun person at any party. He is survived by his parents, Bill and Kim Kohlmeyer, father Marc Permort, Patricia Autumn, Allie, sisters Erica and Nicole, first wife Gwen Stefani, current wife Nora, and their son Ralph, who will grow up to avenge his father's untimely death. A service will be held on December 3rd, 2014 at Shelter Studios, 721 Harding Street, 6 p.m. Yeah.
We wrote that together.
You wrote it together?
He wrote that with me the night he entered hospice, and I just written my dad's obituary with my dumb brothers, and it was... Yeah, we labored over it, and I was like, Dad could have written this in 5 minutes, no muss, no fuss, 4 easy payments of $4.99, and I just didn't want that responsibility to be on me, and so I typed, and he talked, and we got to like make this thing together, and it was so expensive to publish.
What do you mean?
They charge per word.
Do they?
And I thought they would fact check it, but it's an ad for your death. You pay for it. And so they published it, and it was just an inside joke for our friends and our family because he loved Spider-Man. And it went viral. And it felt like Aaron got to like have the last word and have that last joke. Yeah. And that's what a lit agent saw. And I think he gave me that. And
yeah, it's like, it's nice that you were obviously bittersweet, but beautiful that you had the time.
Yeah.
Cause that's one of the things, like, there's so many things I wrestle with because of how it happened and what it happened. And, none of them are answerable questions. I don't know that, given the nature of what she was up against disease-wise, that her knowing it would have been a good thing. And you can't really answer those questions. It wouldn't have bought her much time. But I don't know. What can you tell me about, I know that you say it's, I'm aware that it's never going to, really go away. But I'm also aware, like you said, and something I hang on to a little more is that, that everybody is going to deal with this in one form or another. This is like as human as birth is death, obviously, but also, grief in all its different manifestations. And a lot of people tell me there's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. But I tend to feel instinctively that the way to do it is to let the feelings happen and to sort of, make note of it. I mean, the one thing the Joan Didion book was sort of interesting about at the end was that, like, it's going to get quieter and it's going to get, it's going to get foggier. But because, like, one thing I'm experiencing right now is a fear of forgetting.
Yeah. Our son just found an old iPhone and turned it on, and there were text messages on there from Aaron. And they were so boring.
Yeah.
They were just regular text messages about our day and who's picking up the baby from daycare and who's doing what and do we have a plan for dinner. And I like took it out of his hand. Like,
yeah.
God, like there's something in here that I didn't know about. And I still feel that. I still feel that fear because
you got a lot going on.
What I was told by my friend who had just lost her brother after Aaron died, she said, someday you'll miss this acute pain because it means that they're still close.
Right.
And they're going to get harder to conjure in your mind. And I thought, like, fuck off, Claire. Like I don't want to feel this. And I did do it the wrong way. There is a wrong way to grieve, and that's to not do it. And I spent a whole year avoiding and
well, what were your thoughts in doing that you had already done it, or that you knew it was coming, or that, like, it was,
like what I remember my friend Tyler saying to me, I ended up going to therapy only because he was like, if you don't go to therapy, we cannot be friends. You lost your husband. You were there for like all of this stuff. You have a child. And I remember telling him, like, what's she going to tell me? Like, that I'm sad? But It's like no one had told me that I was grieving for the entire time of our marriage.
Right.
That had never been presented to me. I was never like asked by a doctor if I was okay. I didn't have time. I didn't have time to not be okay. So I was so used to living at like a high stress level that I didn't see another way. Like, I'd never been able to sit with any of these feelings for any length of time because we had stuff to do. We had to go to work still. We worked the whole time he was sick. I would take conference calls from his hospital room. We had a baby. Like, there was always stuff to do. And so I was just used to living at that level. And a part of me thought, if I can get to a year, it'll be over.
Oh yeah, we'll get through it.
Yeah. And I don't know why so many people have that same feeling. Like, after a year, it will be better, just because that amount of time has to make it better. And instead I hit the year mark, and it was like the process of falling in love with Matthew, the process of just having someone there. And also the fact that he was a dad, I was like, oh shit, like, this is everything that Aaron will never be too. So it's all very tangled up.
But also it seems to me that, it coincided with, the finding someone who could, hold the space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That seems to be the sort of thing that is interesting to me about what I'm going through, is that, even if it's my neighbor for a minute, for, no sort of intention of their own, that space is afforded me, and, and I take it because I don't find myself having much choice in that moment. And there are other people that I spend time with where, there's a few guys that have gotten me through a lot of different things, divorces, crazy people that I, was in relationships with who are still with me, and, and a couple of new friends that we'll sit and talk for a while. And then when it comes around, the grief or the crying or the sadness or that moment where that opens, like, I'll just do it. And then, we'll kind of let it happen and then talk about other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But in looking back on it, what are your regrets or what are your notes in terms of sort of because I mean, I guess the things I struggle with really is that, when is it okay to, to not feel terrible? And I guess I don't have much choice over that, but I find myself, if I have a day where, there's several hours where I'm not, thinking about it, where I'm like, fuck, I got to get back to it, or, I can't be over it, but you're not. It's just it's a very confusing thing. And there's a lot of things you want to do to relieve it, but I don't have a lot of options. So what can you tell me? What do I got to do?
One, I think you are like, the fact is you've already been through some stuff. And so you do have some coping mechanisms, and you also have friends who have been through some stuff and not this.
Yeah.
This is a first for all of you. And I wish that I would have had that context to say, Nora, you're 31. No one in your life has been through shit yet. None of you. And so you are new to this, and so are they. And they don't know that you have no idea what you're doing. They think you're in charge. They're following you. They're taking your lead. And I have responsibility for that part of my grief, and for the fact that I made it impossible for my brothers to be there for me. I made it
really?
Yeah. It's just like, I just didn't know what I needed. I just knew that I was sad and I was hurt. I just didn't feel like I could be that or show that to people without ruining their day or ruining their life.
Yeah.
They have their own kids. They have kids Ralph's age. And I wish that I would have spent more time in the hard feelings for my own sake.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother came right out. I thought I was pretty good at, stuffing this stuff, but I when it comes, I can't,
Yeah, that's good. That's so good. And also it's like, we also live in a space where like we want to, and we've been forced to, because you're self-employed, which is ideal at this point in time, because if you worked for a corporation, you would be lucky to have 3 to 5 business days to, and actually maybe not, because you and Lynn weren't married. Sorry.
Right.
Like that's how it is. My friend Mo was cutting hair a week after her husband died by suicide, because if she doesn't cut hair, she doesn't get paid.
Right.
And then we're sort of forced to like justify our pain so we can scale it for other people. And so even hearing you say like, well, I wasn't with her for that long, so I guess I'm just sad about the future, is fucked up to me, because I don't know, is it more or less sad that my mom lost her husband of 40 years when I lost my husband of 4 years? Like,
I guess that, like, I know, but I seem to do that. Yeah, I think it's, I think I'm trying to contextualize it or something, because I knew right away from the beginning that there were so many people that knew her so much better than me, and I was like, the new guy, the last guy, I didn't even know her family really, and so there was, I guess it's just my nature to kind of diminish that, and maybe that's also a bit of a, me trying to minimize it so I won't have the feelings,
Well, and the thing is, like, grief does feel like an individual sport, and it feels like a competitive sport in some ways. And my pain is so different from Erin. Has one sister. She's an only child now. That is different. It's different. And we both miss him, and there's no comparing it because it's so different. And I got a new husband, but I'll never get Erin. It's like, it's so different. And we want there to be like some sort of like, how do you measure this? Is it the metric system? Is it like, who knows?
I mean, but how do you, but you talked a little bit about, that you don't move on. That seemed to bother you. The idea, are you moving on, or have you moved on? Or
yeah, I hate that phrase so much. And somebody said that to me at the funeral. They're like, you're young, you're still beautiful. I was like, oh, thank you. put a lot of effort into that tonight, and you'll find someone else, you'll move on.
Right.
And I just thought, in what world will this be like just a part of my past?